So a couple days ago, I shot my solo episode around shame, painful lies, and depression. It's not like I want to bring us all like downer, Intimate Conversations, the downer show, but I do know that unless we address what's going on under the surface, what we resist persists, grows, and bites us in the friggin' ass. And the lowest vibration would be shame, for us to go into that dark cave and shine a light and find the treasure of us. So a couple days later, here I am after shooting my solo episode, sitting out on the front porch. I don't know what else to do. I just surrender. But I'm kind of not really surrendering. I'm just stewing and being a little cranky about it. The purpose is to surrender. But I'm feeling shame. This morning, I couldn't do one of my coaching calls with one of my coaches, my writing coach, because my Zoom wasn't working. And sometimes that just happens. I don't know why. Like I press on the internet, I press Zoom, takes a little while, it doesn't open. And then, an hour later I go back and it's working. I don't understand it. Well, it's not been working and not been working and not been working. And then it turns out it's not working on my phone, and it's not working on Safari, and it's not working on Chrome, and my internet's working. So now it's a Starlink thing, and Zoom and Starlink seem to think I'm living in some government protected area where firewalls and proxy, and I haven't gone anywhere. I'm still in the middle of nowhere, sitting here in the snow. So I've got all the tickets and, troubleshooting and support and everything. And I'm just noticing underneath my frustration is like, oh, you're such a loser. You can't even run a business. You can't even open Zoom on your laptop. And like, I want to blame Starlink, and I want to blame Zoom, and I want to blame, and this doesn't do any good. And then I want to blame myself, which really hurts my heart. I don't want to do that. Oh, but my heart hurts. I'm just trying my best to run a business. That's all I'm doing. And there's so many other things I could be doing rather than all of this, which then makes me feel depressed. Oh my God. So there you go. A day in the life of shame, blame, addiction, lies, all the things that one does. Oh, I just want to go eat Cadbury eggs. That's what I want to do. Do you like those for Easter season? They give me stomach aches after, but oh my God, they're so sweet. They're so bad. So good. And so, what an amazing intro into this vulnerable podcast of how things that happen on the outside, how do we make them feel? How do we, what do we make it mean? And then how do we feel about ourselves on the inside? So I'm just sitting outside, breathing, and choosing to cradle little you who feels ashamed. And I'm not going to go tell lies to myself like, you're a loser, you can't do it, might as well go bankrupt, just go move to Costa Rica and be a barista. That's kind of my go-to dark place, which I suppose isn't so dark, but that's where I go. And then I just want to give up. So I'm just going to be with myself. I'm going to breathe. And eventually this issue will get resolved one way or the other. And so with a vulnerable heart, I pass you over into Intimate Conversations, Soul Medicine. I love you. Welcome to Intimate Conversations, Soul Medicine. Intimacy is an inside job. Welcome to Intimate Conversations, Season 11. Soul Medicine. This month, we're going to be talking about shame and about moving past those painful lies that we tell ourselves or others, and our addictions. Right now, the house smells like Brussels sprouts. I'm not ashamed to tell you that my house smells so good, like baked Brussels sprouts. There's no way as a little kid I would ever have dreamt that I would like Brussels sprouts, but I do. And I'm also not ashamed that after the recording of this, I think I'm going to put on the snowshoes that I bought at the thrift store that I have not used all winter long. And I am recording this in April, and there's snow everywhere. Like 1.5 feet came down in the last day. So maybe I'll make like a snowman or something. Grateful for where I am and grateful to be able to dive into this conversation of shame. Just finished a group coaching call with my extraordinary clients who feel. And there was a lot of shame. There was shame today around wanting money, shame around wanting to be pursued, shame around how much they hated their body. There's a lot of shame we dealt with today. And I'm so honored and privileged to be able to dive deep with my clients so that they can integrate these emotions, because we can't think our way out of this, people. We can only feel our way through to healing. And so I wanted to take you on a journey of when I first learned that shame was a thing you could feel being a human. I don't remember if I was more than 3 or 4 years old. Anyways, I was very small, sitting on the ground at church and looking in the little pockets where the Bibles were. And there were these little pretty envelopes. So I collected all the envelopes, and I guess maybe I had a purse, or I don't know what I had. But anyways, I took them home and I opened up them because I figured there's got to be like more pretty pictures inside. No, there were $2 bills inside. And in that moment, I knew something was wrong. I was wrong. This was wrong. They would think I'm greedy. I had no idea that there was money inside. I don't even understand why there were $2 bills inside there. But anyways, I had them and I didn't know what to do about it. And I felt really wrong, really bad, that I would be condemned by God for being like greedy. It's one of the first times I ever felt shame. One of the next times I felt shame, I'm thinking I was around 5 or so, because I remember being in the closet, and maybe even younger, because I went downstairs. I had my own room downstairs when I was like 5 or 6. So we were still upstairs, me and my sister, and I had snuck into the kitchen and I had stolen the Flintstone vitamins that tasted so good. And we were sitting in the closet eating them all. And then I remember being caught by my parents and being told, you could have killed your sister, and that they were contemplating taking us to the hospital to pump our stomachs. And I just felt like I was the devil itself. Like here I was trying to, it was like a toss up between the sprinkles and the Flintstones. Like they both were delicious. I had no idea about consequences of vitamins, and I felt awful. Like not, I felt bad for doing that. Like I'm bad, badness itself, horrific. Not too many years later, I was still like in the very beginning of like taking dance class and ballet. And I remember maybe I was 7-ish. I got chosen to be Little Bo Peep. We were doing, like every year we do the festival, and I got chosen to be Little Bo Peep. But simultaneously, and we won. And I even got to go up and get the trophy or whatever it was. Got to shake the adjudicator's hand. It was in this big theater. I just remember being hated, at least I felt like I was being hated, by Kathy and Sandy. They were the twins. They were way better than me. And I knew they were way better than me. And I didn't like them hating me because they ought to have been Little Bo Peep, not me. But like, I guess the teacher couldn't have chosen between the two of them. So like they gave it to me. I just remember feeling like I'm supposed to be happy. I'm Little Bo Peep. I got a crook and the outfit, the whole thing, but I couldn't because I was wrong. I was wrong for winning. I was wrong for being chosen. I was wrong. Like I was fundamentally wrong. It just really fucked with my head. Then I remember my parents having a party, my sister and I being in our room upstairs, and we could hear the ding dong, all these guests coming. And we thought, let's dress up. Let's be guests. This gonna be great. So got dressed up. We had like what's called a tickle trunk. In Canada, there's Mr. Dress Up. It was like a TV show. So we had the tickle trunk with the costumes. We got all dressed up. We jumped out of the window, like really far down. I think we broke the window in the meantime, but we didn't care. We were so funny. We got to the front door, ding dong. It's like hell broke loose. We were in so much trouble and shamed in front of everybody. And don't you dare come out of that room and shut that window. And we couldn't because it was broken. It was just awful. I just remember thinking, oh my God, I am bad. My joy is bad. My creation is bad. My expression is bad. Like everything big about me was bad. I also remember when I was around 4 years old, dancing like a little Sufi dancer around the ottoman in the living room to Jesus Christ Superstar. And it was loud and I was in my bliss. Bam, Dad's fist through the wall. At least it wasn't through my head, but I guess I hadn't heard him say, be quiet. And again, I must be wrong. And my exuberance is wrong. My expression is wrong. Yeah, my light and delight is wrong. So those were more like, I didn't see it coming, innocent expression where I felt shame. I can't really say if I was shamed. I certainly was in trouble, or not liked, but I made it mean that there's something fundamentally wrong with me. And as I got older, then there were experiences that at the time I completely disassociated, left my body. I knew I was terrified of somebody, didn't want to go near somebody, but I didn't have the memory until very recently when I went through my psychedelic somatic integration work. But as a kid, I was sexually abused, and I felt like the protectors were the betrayers, were the predators, the prosecutors, because in my PSI, it's how it's all come back, the thoughts, the images, the smells, the sensations, and the words that was like, it's your fault. You made me do it. You like this. Don't move. Don't say anything. Like all of that, there must be something fundamentally wrong with me that I would attract this. Like, what's wrong with me? As I grew older, so now let's jump. First boyfriend, we dated for like a year and a half. We would hang out in the back of his truck and just like bump and grind. He was super Catholic and he didn't want to have sex, and I did, and I wanted him to be my first. And we would dated for so long until I found out. I was sat down on my couch in the living room, which is where I never go. One of his friends came over and sat me down in the very formal living room, and just said, he cheated on you at a party and you're going to find out about it at school tomorrow. So I wanted to let you know. And again, I just felt like, what is wrong with me? Like I must be fundamentally not pretty enough, sexy enough, worthy enough. It was devastating. I thought I chose like the good guy, the kind guy, the Catholic guy, that whatever. Yeah. And I felt like a piece of meat discarded. Later, in the next couple like yearish period of time, my best friends became my neighbor, this guy that lived right around the corner from me in the cul-de-sac beneath me, right beneath my house. And he started to date my other best friend. And so we were like the three musketeers a lot of the time. And when he suddenly died, I wasn't allowed to be sad. Only she was allowed to be sad. Nobody could quite wrap their mind around like brother-sister energy. Like, wasn't safe around my dad, didn't have a brother, not safe going to grandma's house, like not safe around men. And here was this brother figure who saw me and cared about me and wanted to go back to where he came, because he moved to my small town because his mom had just died. So he moved in with his aunt and uncle. And when he went back to where he came from, he was going to bring back some guys for me. So I had a boyfriend too. And it was horrible to be made wrong that I was even sad, and to stuff that away for decades, and just have it be my own loss. Again, what's wrong with me? I must be bad and wrong. And yet this is where the shame began to shift for me. I was wrong. I am wrong. Da, 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 da. And then that very day that I found out that he died, my neighbors at the lake, I found out at the lake, at the cabin at the lake, my friends, they took me down to the provincial park to go bike riding to try to get my mind off of it. And as we came back down to our cabins that evening, still blue sky, kind of dusk, but not a cloud in the sky. But there were two rainbows that went right over my cabin. And I knew they were sent from him. And I had my very first full body shivers experience of like, okay, the spirit world is real. And I also feel the two rainbows. Well, one, it meant that he and his mom were together, which made me feel good. And then the other was, okay, you've got a choice now, Allana. Are you going to take the rainbow choice of bitter, never open your heart again? Nobody's even allowing you to be sad. Just shove it all down. Hate God. Don't open your heart. That's a path of life. Or are you going to take the other rainbow path? Are you going to be grateful for the time you got to spend with him as your friend, grateful for the masculine brother presence that he provided, and even grateful that people don't get it, because I still get to choose whether to keep my heart open or closed, and I'm going to choose to open it. And grateful that, oh my God, what? You can die at 16? Like my grandmothers hadn't died. My cats hadn't died. Nothing. No one had died. My best friend. So, okay, I get that there's no guarantees here and that it's sure as shit not fair to be here. And I'm going to learn to live with my heart splayed wide open, and no one and no thing is going to have control over me. Oh no. And so there was some sense of, if this could happen to me, maybe I'm not all that wrong. Maybe life is in my hands to, at least in my point of view, is in my hands to be in charge of. Things began to shift like a turning point. Later, another turning point happened when I decided I was going to compete for the Miss Kamloops pageant. And I was a little older. Most of the girls were more like 16. I was, I think, 18 at the time. And it was really between me and Teresa. And we were neck and neck, I thought, between all the different competitions, the talent competition, the speech competition, the answering the question on stage competition. I was like, it's between the two of us. And then when they announced third place and it was me, I was like, oh, bitch, she won. Shit. And I didn't even get second. And then she got second. I remember looking at her on stage and both of us are kind of dumbfounded. And I remember her saying something like, just smile, just smile. I'm like, great. I know how to do fake well. That's not a problem. So there we are smiling. We didn't even know who won. It was like, we didn't get it. But again, the gift in not going, I'm wrong or she's wrong or life is wrong is that we became like pretty much best friends. And it's been decades. I'm now 53. That was like when we were 18. We're still friends. We're still in touch. So I'm so grateful that I lost. I'm so grateful that I got humbled. And I'm so grateful that I learned to open my heart again and see what the gift is, which is a beautiful friend for decades and decades. Proud that I was the only non-Italian in her wedding party. Yeah. There was more shame, but again, I started to have this like superpower vision when something really shameful would happen. I wouldn't stay there for too long. So now I'm in college, and I didn't want to be a pharmacist, like take over my dad's pharmacy. I didn't want to be a teacher, underpaid teacher like my mom. So I decided I would take like business, pre-business or something like that. Well, I failed quantitative methods. Now, I graduated cum laude from Columbia University. I got straight A's in every year of everything there was, but I got a D, or maybe it was even an F. I can't remember. But anyways, in quantitative methods, the teacher, he would go, here's what you do, and then ja. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. But when I did summer school, crazy, summer school was taught by the husband of my preschool teacher. This is what a small town does, right? But he showed me this. But he didn't go right to here. He showed me the 4 or 5 steps in between, which made sense to my brain. And then I got an A. But the good news of all of that is like, I don't know if I really like business so much. No. So I quit after all that. I got my A, but then I quit. And Uncle Phil drove an 18-wheeler semi down to LA, once a month. And I'm just like, I'm freaking out of here. I'm out of here. I don't want to be in business. I don't want to be a pharmacist. I don't want to be a teacher. I just love to dance. I could dance every day. That would just make me really happy. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to go to LA and be a dancer. Of course, I failed at that too. But I ended up moving over to Japan, and then I succeeded there, etc. But the shame, if I'd stayed in it, I could have just said, well, I guess I better be a pharmacist, or I guess I better be a teacher, and just, woe is me. At least I started to have some chutzpah, that the shame, there's a gift in the shame. Kind of like my girlfriend, Gudetej, she likes to tell the joke, if you go into this barn and there's a bunch of shit in there, and everyone's like, oh God, this is gross. But the little kid says, oh, there must be a pony in here somewhere. Like, lean into the shit, people, lean into the shame. Because there's a gift in there. There's a pony in there somewhere. So yeah, it didn't work out for me to make it in Hollywood. I failed in Hollywood, but I did make it all the way over in Japan. And I danced at these gorgeous, like, Four Seasons hotels. And I was a model remember like going to Shibuya Station, which at the time had like, I don't know, 15 million people going through that one, subway station, train station every single day. And as you go outside, the crosswalks, there's like, it goes in 5 directions at once. And there's these huge billboards and all these lights, kind of like Times Square in New York City. And there I was, my face they have this thing called speak no evil, see no evil, hear no evil with little monkeys in the ancient temples. There Allana was I was on this humongous billboard saying, doing this, and doing this. And I'm like, there are millions of people around, like no one to tell. I just sort of stood there in the middle of it all going, wow, all of this risk, look what you've accomplished, little one. I also remember being on a subway, having finished a job late at night, taking one of the last subways home. No one else was on the train except for these little schoolgirls down at the other side of the train. And I looked up, and when you're in a subway, how there's different pictures, but then sometimes it's a big ad and every picture is the same picture. Well, every picture was me. It was another modeling job that I had done. And there was no one to tell on the train. So I went down to the other side and I said, "Sumimasen," like, excuse me. And I pointed up to the pictures, and these little schoolgirls, they were so adorable. They gave me my, 15 minutes of fame, and they got out their little scissors, and they cut one down for each of them, and I signed it, and they cut one down for me, and I went home. A really beautiful memory. But another gift that came from, and it was difficult to live in Japan. I didn't have, I made friends, but I didn't have friends, didn't have a boyfriend. I had to go to 3 or 4 banks until someone would actually take my money, because I was a gaijin, dame. It would be raining and they would pass us gaijin by with taxis. So it was not all fun and games, but I would go backpacking in between my contracts because it was cheaper to go to Thailand than it was to stay in Japan. And I remember really slowing down to feel the shame I had been feeling about being a model, the shame I'd been feeling about my body as a dancer, just so much comparison to the other women. Fear of what men thought, shrinking away from them, wanting their attention, but shrinking. And the competition between the other women. I couldn't just be in my body. And so I made a commitment when I was there on this little island of Koh Phangan, Thailand, where the full moon rave parties were at night. Well, in the day, my commitment was to heal my heart, learn to just be okay in my body. And I would walk up and down this deserted beach on the other side from where all the parties would happen. And I decided to really trigger myself. And so all I wore was like a floss G-string. That was it. So that I was really in my emotional trigger and super concerned what people thought, because I somehow knew even back then that, what you put in is what you get out. You do something half-assed, you'll get a half-assed result. And so I walked back and forth, and I would sob, just like, how is it that I hate myself so much? How is it that I despise and I'm so critical of my body? How is it that I believe that no man will ever think I'm beautiful? Or if he does for 10 seconds, he'll leave me, the next day for someone else. And how is it that I feel that all women are going to stab my back? So back and forth, days of this, until one day I was turning around back towards my little hut, my $3 hut on the water. And I just gave up. I said, I guess I'm just going to be insecure forever. And that's when my first direct experience happened. And the sand fell out from underneath me. Gravity fell out. I felt one with all the little droplets of water in the waves. I felt the sun rays literally streaming through my body. I felt with all the people on the beach, I looked at them and they all looked like bodhisattvas. I just loved them all. I felt zero shame. I felt total oneness with the earth, with the air, with the divine, with every person. Like, I am you, you are me, we are one, like for realsies. And I thought, oh my God, all this criticism, all this shame, maybe I've misunderstood. Maybe I've been telling myself a lie this whole time. And so that gave me a little lift, little spring in my step. Went back, married husband number 1, married husband number 2, custody battle, and the shame ensued again. I'm like, oh my God, again, I'm the only one in common. with the 2 divorces and the custody battle. And then most recently, the criminal assault, which is still happening. The court date now is postponed till August, almost 2 years since it happened. So again, it creeps back in, this shame. What's wrong with me? I don't think we ever really get there. I mean, maybe one day I'll become enlightened or something, but I sort of see it more like a DNA spiral. Like we get through some shame, we heal, we get better, but then we go around the dark side of the moon, which is still higher than we were before, though. But we've got to face another layer, another level, another dimension. And then we get through that and we come around again. And so most recently, this shame of the assault, it's like, who the hell are you, woman? Like, what is wrong with you? Why didn't you see it coming? Why didn't you leave? Why? And so I'm so grateful for how we started this season when we talked about trauma and interviewed Saj and Annie, the Psychedelic Somatic Institute director of education and one of the head facilitators. And I finally discovered, shame, if we can't feel it, we leave. But shame, if we can feel it, we can integrate it. And memories will come back. The disassociation will end and we'll be back in our bodies to face and feel and heal what has led many of us to live, not just in shame, but often live, in a life of lies, in a life of addictions, in a life of disassociation, anything, because nobody's taught us how to feel. And if we just feel for like a little bit, it's awful. Like, who wants to do more of that? So what's beautiful about the psychedelic somatic protocol is that the psychedelic medicine supports one in feeling. And the facilitator acknowledges and invites allowance, which is exactly the same as I've done in all of my quantum psychology, spiritual technology, somatic experiential coaching work that I've done for 20 years. But again, we can't see our own blind spots. It's very difficult to be the banks of the river and the river at the same time. So I really needed this experience and this protocol to support me in getting back in my body. And as I alluded to at the beginning, the sexual abuse that I had blocked out of my memory, disassociated all the way back then, it all came flooding back. All of those, you made me do it. It's your fault. You like this. Like, how fucked up is that? I felt it all. And I felt it not just for the sake of feeling it, but I felt it all the way back to what they call still point, where your ANS system has rested at level 0. And along with it is wisdom. Not just, oh my God, I got through it, I'm back in my body, but oh my God, I got through it and I'm wiser. I understand. I'm actually not bad. What happened, I was victimized, but I need not be the victim, but not as a thought, as an embodiment. I could forgive myself of why I attracted that criminal assault relationship. I could forgive myself of all the crazy, in hindsight, business decisions I made to give people my money, and they took it. And the FBI is still after them. Like, these experiences that I would repeatedly attract, I could understand why. I could understand that subconscious wound was just hypervigilantly seeking, where's the abuser? Got to survive them. Where's the abuser? Got to master surviving the abuser. Where's the abuser? Like, all it was doing was looking for the abuser. So I'd go to a party and there's all these really cool, nice people, not attracted to them in the slightest. Like, where's the abuser? Oh, that turns me on. It's the wound. It was the wound running the show. And thank God and Goddess that I've healed that all the way back to still point. So the lies I was telling myself can stop. The shame and self-abuse I was telling myself could stop. And I could literally be grateful for the lesson, for the experience, because of this very moment I get to share it with you. So if you are shaming yourself and think you're batshit crazy, and you're criticizing yourself, and you're lying to yourself, or you're addicted, there is a way through. There's a way through. I was going to say a way out, but it's not about leaving. It's not about getting rid of anything. It's about getting back into our body, feeling the feelings and experiencing the wisdom of the embodiment of all that happened. So we can also be grateful for all of this, because how could we know the experience of living unapologetically free if we hadn't excuse me, also known the experience of being totally ashamed, lying to ourselves, and addicted. And so for me, the point of life is not about getting here, being perfect, having a perfect life, and then dying perfect. Like, I mean, I suppose that could be fun on some level, but it'd be super shallow, no evolution, no growth. We wouldn't be a contribution to humanity or consciousness itself. No, the point is not to look good. The point of life is not to get it right. The point of life is not to, I don't know, dominate others, win, leave each other in the dust. That's not what I believe it is. I also believe the point of life is not to settle, check out, give up, be a martyr, have that false humility or that fake good attitude or spiritually bypass, and not actually feel and address how fucking terrified we are, right? Suppress our feelings, overgive, sacrifice our truth, our purpose, our dreams, never slow down enough to really understand, feel, acknowledge, validate, be with the part of us that is lonely, aching, yearning to be who we're really meant here to be. So I believe that these experiences, albeit very uncomfortable, it's true, shame, lies, addictions, these are all wonderful gifts home to show us where we are just seeking a way out of the pain. It's a misunderstanding that who we are is wrong. And it's an invitation to remember who we are and embody our inherent worth in the face of anything. Painful lies are also a wonderful gift because they bring us home to what truth really is and what wisdom really is, because a lie never feels good in your bones. You know it. You know you're lying to yourself on some level. You know you're lying to others on some level. And so if you slow down to feel that discomfort of that lie, it'll take you, if you take the path, home to truth. So you can be the embodiment of wisdom. And while I wasn't addicted to, like my dad was addicted to drugs and alcohol, but I've certainly been addicted to looking good, overworking, overgiving, anything, so you won't get angry at me, right? And so that too has been an exceptional gift, so that I can come home to like bravery and healthy boundaries. I can come home to wholeness and well-being. I can come home to motherfucking strong boundaries and self-worth, the most I've ever had in my 53 years on the planet. And so I want you to know that this path I'm talking about, I do the work. I do a lot of work. I live a very simple life. I live in a little house I rent on a bunch of acres with a bunch of horses. And this beautiful big horned owl last night that flew over me in the hot tub. Breathtaking. And I invest a lot of money in my growth, my PSI protocol. I have 2 or 3 other coaches that I work with, spiritual healers. I go to chiropractic. I do cranial sacral. I do acupuncture. I do structural massage. I have trainers that work me out 2 mornings a week. Like I always grow. I get the biggest return on investment of happiness for no reason, because of how much I invest in myself. I'm not telling you that's what you need to do too, but I just want to be transparent that this doesn't just come like, oh yeah, go to a weekend workshop and you're golden. No, even with one of my coaches that I work with privately, and he has a group as well, on the group call, I brought my A game of vulnerability. And he said he's never had someone that vulnerable on the call, especially live on Zoom with camera on, snot coming down my nose, makeup coming down my face, honest, that as I was going through all the feelings, which is the same there as it is with my psychedelic somatic work, which is the same as what it is with my Allana Pratt method process, is the same, feel. Get out of that little baby mind that has the beliefs and the stories and the rest of it. Shut the fuck up. Dive in and feel. There were some dark places. It got suicidal and it passed. And it got home to a love tear, like I was crying the whole time. But then at the end, I was crying with how much I was feeling the love of the universe. And my coach emailed me later and he said, I want you to know that what you did on the call today, has taken decades to be able to be that present and feel that deep and surrender. So I tell you this wherever you are on your journey, because it is a practice. It's not a destination. My company, one of them is called Celebrate the Process, not Celebrate the Goal, because I have to remind myself, like, stop being so attached to this somehow being over, this being human being over. Like, oh yeah, I'll get there and I'll be happy and everything will be fine for the rest of my life. Like, that's a fantasy. It's a fantasy, not to say it's going to be hell for the rest of my life either. It's just going to be real. It's just going to be human. So I'm really proud of my bravery. I'm really proud that I am the most embodied and happy for no reason that I've ever been. I'm really proud of the results I get for my clients. I'm really proud of the global community that I've created. I'm really proud that I've trained probably close to 20 Allana Pratt method coaches who are able to use this work in their own private practices, in their own lives, or working in our company. God, I'm proud of my global team, Team Allana. And they too are invited on the team bonding calls every month to be real and cry or swear or share what's going on behind the scenes, because how we do anything is how we do everything. It's my privilege, honor to take care of their soul, their bodies, their family, their hearts, so that they show up great, obviously, for work, but so that they also have a great life when they stop working, right? I'm proud that I have written 6 books. I've led, I can't even count how many epic, life-changing retreats. I love that there is either one person that really, really, really likes my videos, or there have been 5.6 million people that have viewed what it is I've put out into the world. I am proud that, even though nothing against gardening experts, I'm an intimacy expert, so I get a lot of vibrators sent to me. I probably have a collection of over 10 or 12 vibrators. I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud that I do the work so that I sleep well, that I can wake up most of the time rejuvenated, and that when I go to sleep, I am surrender, because I know that because my sweet little cat, she sleeps like on my belly, on my back, on my hip, like she's always on my body, because being close to my body must feel good and safe and home. I'm glad that, I don't know, 53 is the new 43 or 53 is the new 33. I don't know. I just feel good. I feel good. And I'm really proud that even though it makes me sad sometimes and I deeply yearn and I feel lonely for my beloved, I'm proud that I have so much love to give him when he shows the fuck up. Yeah. I'm not ashamed that I do feel lonely from time to time, that I do ache to surrender to him. I'm not ashamed that I still have criminal court coming up in August. I learned a lot, I grew a lot, and I will stand up for truth. It wasn't like this in the beginning, but because I do the work, it is now, that I failed at my first attempt to build the world's first partnering app. And I'm proud that I was a bold stand and went for it for the greater good of humanity. I am not ashamed that, God, I miss my son. Yeah, there's not even words to express how much I miss my child. And I'm proud that I keep my heart open in the face of all of that. And I don't get bitter or send him guilt trips, that I keep my heart open to his return. And I'm not ashamed that I'm really, really imperfect. And that it's just easier just to be real than to try to remember who I told a story to and who I lied to. Like, it's just too exhausting. I don't have the brain cells for that. I also am not ashamed to share that I do get suicidal from time to time. When I really feel feelings, when I really get mad at God and the goddess, like, how could you? How dare you? Why haven't you? When I work so fucking hard. And when I really feel that anger, on the other side of that anger is some pretty dark, what's the point, suicidal ideation feelings. And I'm really proud that I have facilitators and coaches and myself that could sit with me to feel through that all the way back to not just zero, but to this, to everything, to so much love of the universe in me, embodied in me, that I don't even need to search for trust or faith. I'm just held. I'm just held. And I'm so grateful that I can be that, experience that, provide that for my clients, teach that in my processes. And I'm grateful to continue to get up every day, put one foot in front of the other, love the shit out of myself and love the shit out of you, and create a safe place for us all to be real on this journey so that we don't resist shame. We lean in. We lean in. Because just like that pile of shit, there's a pony in there somewhere. There is light in the darkness. But you can't get there through your mind. You can only get through there through feeling emotions and body sensations. And our bodies can be this place of rich, delicious home. And instead of needing to transcend everything and leave and meditate and go into tier 3 all the time, no, we can have this sense of embodied home, wholeness, and bliss inside of our body, feeling the universe holding us as our very breath, aching to know even more through us as you. There's only one of you, that they broke the mold with you, that you're intended to be here. And so that as you feel through the shame and you dissolve the lies and you release the addictions and you create the fertile ground of wholeness inside, that you literally become just your vibration, a contribution to the planet. Just buzzing around, being you, doing nothing. Yeah, a total contribution. And then if you freaking open your mouth, or you like write a book, or you listen to your kid, or you show up with an open heart, like, oh, you're such a gift. And what if more of us could do the work to be this? This is what the planet's calling for. This is what consciousness is aching for. This is our choice, people. So I invite you to connect with me if I can walk with you, if I can support you. There is no greater privilege than going into that cave, as Joseph Campbell says, that the cave we fear to enter holds the treasure that we seek. It is true. He is right. And this is what it is to be alive. I love the shit out of you. Thank you for joining me on Intimate Conversations. I will see you next week. All my love. See you next week on Intimate Conversations. Get out there and make love to life. Zoom works. Isn't it amazing? Something like Zoom not working on my laptop would make me ashamed of who I am as a human being. Isn't that bonkers? How I gave my worth away to a technical situation because I didn't want to look bad in front of my coach, or I didn't want to look like not a good businesswoman or something like that. And I ended up having to do two of my calls yesterday. It wasn't working all day yesterday. So I had to do 2 of my calls on that Google Meet thing. And my clients had to download whatever to make that work. But one of the fun things is I was going through it going, okay, where are my Zoom filters so I can look phenomenal? And I couldn't find them, but I found all these other fun things. Like I was a crazy strawberry and I was a crazy cat and like I was a pirate. And one of them I looked kind of like Avatar. Anyways, I was having so much fun. And then I started to giggle at myself. I'm like, okay, what if the universe, sweet universe, is training me yet again, because I asked for it and I'm willing to heal my shame by triggering this situation with Starlink and Zoom not working so that I could feel my feelings. I could go inside and go, do we really need to be so unkind to yourself, Allana? And then the joy of being a strawberry. And then, of course, the coaching calls went really, really well. And then I sat at sunset in my bedroom and I didn't get Cadbury eggs, but I did get some truffle oil and sea salt crinkle chips. Nice glass of wine. And I sat down and I just had a really compassionate cry, a good cry, like a kind cry of like, oh God, you try so hard. And Allana, you can't control the universe. And because you can't control the universe, that doesn't make you a bad person. Your worth, Allana, your worth is not your accomplishments. That's a big one. That's what I discovered. That shame is when I say I'm so bad and I take responsibility for things that aren't my responsibility. And then I think the universe has forsaken me. And I just went, oh, sweetie girl, you're doing your best. You're doing your best. You're doing your best. Your worth is that you be. I be. You be. We be. That's it. That's the end of the sentence. Why are we worthy? Because we are. That's that. Because we're a child of the universe. That's that. We are love. We are light. That's that. Accomplishments come and go. Zoom comes and goes. Internet comes and goes. But my worth is inherent. Your worth is inherent. So may we all get on the train into the cave of shame so that we can bring light, awareness, and compassion and truly integrate those deep core wounds that arose back when we were tiny kids, when we just didn't know any better, and grab that little you, snuggle them in your arms, hold them against your breast, kiss them on the top of the head. Say, I'm here and I love you and you're enough, just as you are. Zoom or no Zoom. And then I woke up this morning and I was ready to do my troubleshooting tickets again, and it worked. So, yay! And then I went for my weekly massage. And now I'm sitting here again. I'm going to read my book for a little bit. And God, I love this shit out of you. Thank you for allowing us here at Intimate Conversation Soul Medicine to love the shit out of you. Until next week, all my love.